This was my experience when I developed eczema several years ago after taking an antibiotic. I started the amoxicillin before the test results came back as I was instructed, broke out in a horrific itchy rash, and the test results came back negative several days later. The dermatologist said that the antibiotic triggered the eczema, which ended up covering half my body. It started on my wrists, crawled up my arms, over my chest, traveled up my neck, onto my eyelids, and finished behind my knees. I was miserable. The itching kept me up every night and bled every time I scratched it. The cortisone steroid ointment that the dermatologist gave me never did a thing. Out of desperation, I called an acquaintance that used homeopathic remedies. I started using the remedies from the company that she used. That company is no longer in business. However, you can find remedies from other companies like Boron. Highlands may have some remedies for eczema, but they have been changing a lot of their remedies lately. I know that graphite and sulfur are good for eczema. The very first night I started using the skin irritation pills from the company that is no longer in business and used calendula ointment on the rash, I was able to get some sleep. I also had to give up sugar, take a probiotic, and grapefruit seed extract, a natural program to eliminate eczema. By the time I found something that was working, it took nearly a year to get rid of the rash. During that time, at one point in the progression of the eczema, my skin became rough and leathery. Antibiotics kill not only the bad bacteria, but the good bacteria as well that our bodies need in order to function properly. I first learned about the good bacteria in a book written by William G. Crook, MD, called The Yeast Connection and the Woman. Don't let the title fool you. Yeast problems can affect anyone of all ages, even men. Dr. Crook has several books on yeast, including one simply titled The Yeast Connection, which seems to be geared towards both men and women. When antibiotics kill the good bacteria, yeasts that naturally occur in our bodies take over because the yeast is not affected by the antibiotic. If you do take an antibiotic, you can take a probiotic to replenish the good bacteria. And I've heard that you should take a probiotic 2 hours after the antibiotic because the antibiotic will cancel out the probiotic. I would continue to take the probiotic for several months after the antibiotic script is finished, especially if you have symptoms of yeast overgrowth like eczema. It may not be enough to cut out sugar in your diet, which also makes yeast grow. Grapefruit seed extract kills yeast, which you can purchase at health food stores or online. I found out about grapefruit seed extract in the book, The Yeast Connection and the Woman. And I find that it's safe to use. It's a natural product and readily available. Although I have heard that it may interact with some medications, so check with your doctor. I took grapefruit seed extract several times a day, a probiotic, avoided sugar, and took a homeopathic remedy when I had eczema. It worked. It also worked for one of my children who also had eczema after an antibiotic. They had strep throat, and a test did indeed confirm it. It took longer for them to get rid of it, though, because it was difficult to supervise everything they ate. I could always tell when they ate sugar because the eczema got worse. I read the Yeast Connection book several years ago, but it has a lot of good information. Cortisone, steroids, and oral contraceptives can also cause yeast problems. Probiotics have become very popular now. Remember that probiotics may not prevent all the side effects of antibiotics. They just replace the good bacteria that the antibiotic kills. Although I no longer get eczema, I only eat sweets occasionally because I now know that sugar can cause yeast overgrowth and the eczema may return. Here's the list again to get rid of eczema. Take a probiotic, grapefruit seed extract, avoid sugar, and take a homeopathic remedy like graphite or sulfur, and you can use calendula ointment on the rash.